largest so far, and it is unheard of. It's twice the population of most of the OECD countries, right? Take a single country, it's about twice. Mostly these growth, it's expected that the growth will saturate at some point, but if you look at these particular graphs, there is not an iota of evidence that it is going to saturate soon. So if you look at it, it's still exponential. Look at for example, the total subscriber base, or for example, category A or B or C, it's continuously increasing. And of course, there is a bit of saturation, as you can see in the graph, in metros. But all the other categories, it seems to be increasing, especially in category C circles. For example, Assam, I still remember, we used to have only Reliance Telecom, only one operator until 2001. Today we have about 4 operators and 6 more operators have got the license to provide the service. The same case with Northeast, Jammu and Kashmir, Bihar, and so on. So that's increasing exponentially. The growth rate, the annual growth rate in category C is more than 100%. So all this provides huge opportunities for us. But the important thing is that mobile VAS industry, I am speaking very specifically with respect to India. Of course, it has been the case even in other countries. Mobile VAS industry is still in infancy, and there are bottlenecks. The bottlenecks, one is the subscriber who subscribes to the service. This is not getting adopted at the rate at which we want. And the second one is the intermediary between the subscriber and us, that is the network operator. It's a lack of conducive ecosystem which needs to be put in place. And of course, as we all know, TRI has come forward with the consultation paper recently and is going to be announcing some kind of recommendations, which is first legal recognition of the mobile VAS industry. So I'll touch upon these two factors, the adoption and the promoting of the conducive ecosystems. So that's going to be the focus of my particular talk. Okay, so generally if you look at telecom or any kind of new technologies and innovations, the rate of adoption depends upon so many factors. Right? It depends upon the economic status, the affinity to risk, the interest in the particular product, and so on. So it takes quite some time for people to adopt new technologies, and mobile VAS is a technology. It's not like voice where you can just press one button and talk. So it is important for us to understand who are our adopters. So this is a traditional curve which everybody uses in telecom or any other innovative technology to describe the pattern of adoption. So we have some lead users, for example, those who are on the left part of the curve, innovators and early adopters, who basically adopt these services irrespective of the price. Right? So it is even found that this particular lead users will want to pay even if the price is high. Because if you start using the service, then more and more users will start to adopt by way of, for example, word of mouth or by the experience the others have got and so on. And this will bring in the necessary network externality effect, which is well known in the telecom industry. So, how do we attack the lead users? Without the lead users, diffusion to mass market cannot happen. It's a classic thing which happened with Iridium. All of us know. It was a technology marvel, and of course it died because the lead users did not reach a critical mass, right? So if you look at that S curve, which is superimposed on this particular bell curve, it clearly describes how, for example, the adopters adopt new services. It's initially very low, because that's when the lead users are going to be captured, right? And then there is a critical mass above which the adoption pattern actually experiences an exponential form, right? So we need to reach that critical mass. If, for example, maybe a new technology but it was not adopted by the lead users well enough to go past the critical mass, then it's going to die, right? The same case with so many technology adoptions. Classic case is iridium, right? So iridium went down not because it was not technology marvel, but because the lead users were not sufficient enough to take it beyond the critical mass. But once we reach a critical mass, in India, for example, the critical mass for mobile services reached somewhere in 2001. If you remember, that was the time when the fourth cellular license was given. Then in 2003, we had this limited mobility and all the CDMA operators came into picture. And then we introduced calling party-based scheme. Once that calling party-based scheme was introduced in 2003, the exponential growth of mobile services took place, right? And so we need to address this particular problem of lead users so that we can go past, for example, the critical mass. And of course, once you reach the critical mass, then because of the network externality effect, the users will get into the system, right? So we will discuss about some of those things later on. But in general, the lead users don't worry too much about the price. They worry about the innovation, and they are risk takers. They want to experience the particular innovation, and therefore they are willing to take the risk to adopt the new services. Now, once we go beyond the critical mass, the exponential phase, it's possible that you can reduce the price and still will be able to make profit because there are so many users who already adopted this particular innovation, like what has been happening in the mobile industry today. Now, let's just basically look at how to reach this particular critical mass. If you look at, for example, our urban population, right? It's about 320 million. We have 240 mobiles, which and a fixed line about 29 million, teledensity of 85%, which is not unheard of, right? If, for example, when we started the whole telecom revolution in 1994, we had a pathetic teledensity of about 1.29 or something like that, right? We had just fixed lines of about 19 million. So the thing is that the teledensity is almost reaching saturation, like in most of the developed countries. But these urban population also have access to other technologies. For example, for entertainment, we don't have to really depend upon mobile entertainment. We have, for example, cable television, DTH, the headed in the sky, the new acronym for satellite television is going to come up soon, and we have IPTV, so we have so many alternatives, and therefore we need to address this particular population very differently. Money power is very high. The disposable income is 19,500 per capita. So what do these mean? So these users probably want some advanced services. They are risk takers. So ideally, a mobile-based service should address particularly this particular lead user community. So we can have the critical mass to get going. Price is not really the criteria, but the technology innovation is the criteria. So we need to address this. As we have already discussed, the network effect dominates, and therefore price is not the criteria. Price elasticity of demand is particularly low for these kind of users, but still there is enough number to get you past, for example, the critical mass. Okay, so that's one particular demand side in the urban areas. Let's look about rural area. It's huge. It's around 850 million. And the mobile in this particular area is 63 million. All these 63 millions were implanted in the last 2 years. Do you know that? Mobile